We're making curry. I've had multiple people express interest in exactly how I'm doing this when I say that I make curry. So we're going to explain it here. We're going to start off with butter. We're going to melt that butter. I'm adding in flour. This is just regular white wheat flour. You got to be careful with this. I kind of screwed it up in this video actually. You really want to mother it. You want to be there forever. I was distracted by the camera and having to get water. Usually I would take the pot over to the sink, but in this instance I decided to show you adding water. So this is butter, flour, and water. So we're melting butter, putting in some flour, and adding in cups of water. Okay, and I'm getting it to the consistency I wanted it. You'll notice this recipe is mostly just made up on the fly. Okay, and just experiment with it. Just have fun. Don't be afraid of it. Find what you like. Okay, it's so flexible. Curry is the most flexible thing in the world. So don't get worried about the outcome of your curry. We're gonna start with cumin. This is the core of the curry. Okay, so we've made our basic roux of butter, flour, and water. It's thick, and now we're putting in the cumin. Okay, you want to have in terms of a ratio of all your spices, you want the most cumin. Okay, so you want to err on the side of cumin. Cumin is really the heart of curry. Okay, and you can see how clumpy it is here. I was kind of making it wrong in this video. Usually I make it and it works out a little bit better, but you'll find that in this particular video I was distracted by the camera and I was distracted by having to leave to get water. Normally I wouldn't be leaving to get water. I would be taking the pot with me and stirring it while I was taking it with me to put it in the sink to get water. You don't want to ever stop stirring. Okay, that moment where I stop stirring to get a cup of water is why you're seeing the clumps. So you don't want clumps. Okay, so we're stirring, I'm just trying to fight back the clumps right now. And just to reiterate, we want a lot of cumin. I decided it was a little bit too thick at this point. You'll be able to feel this on your own once you try this. So butter, flour, keep mixing, adding water. Okay, keep mixing, do not stop. Remember, if you want it to be thinner, add water. If you want it to be thicker, leave it cook more and the water will evaporate out of it. Or you could cheat and add a little bit more flour. Here's turmeric. This is your number 2 ingredient in curry, in my opinion. Okay, I'm putting in maybe half as much turmeric as I'm doing cumin. You'll figure this out on your own. Okay, it's an adventure. So we're stirring it, and I'm paying attention to the color. The color of your curry is important. You can kind of tell what it's going to taste like based on the color. And right now I'm just trying some of that turmeric for myself to see what it's like. Periodically I will actually taste the spatula. If you're making this for someone else, do not do that. Do not take out the spatula or anything and taste it. Don't taste it as you're making it, but if you're making it for yourself, you can taste it and then put the spoon back in. You know what I mean? Just use common sense. Ginger, put in almost as much ginger as I did turmeric. This is my number 3 ingredient. After this point, the order of ingredients isn't really important. So we're stirring that in. Cardamom, I love this stuff. It's a little expensive, so use it sparingly. So just look at how little I put in, barely a spoonful. It's a necessary ingredient in a lot of curries, but it's not the number 1 most important thing. It tastes a little bit like Pepsi, and you'll note that if you buy it and smell it. Cloves, I don't really like cloves that much, but most curries call for it, so I put it in. It has kind of like an earthen, nutty kind of smell and taste. It's kind of weird, but I put some in, and I don't really fancy it, so I go easy on it. Coriander seed, I love this. It's a common ingredient in curries. Some people think this tastes like soap, but I don't think that at all. So I'm putting a little bit more in than I did the cloves. So we got about twice as much coriander seed as we did cloves. Now that time up there, that's not the real time. That's the time that was going on in the video. Alright, so this is to show you how much time is actually going by for me in real life. Okay, it's not actually the length of the video, it's the time that went by for me in real life, just to give you an idea of the amount of time it takes to do this, which isn't that intense. Now, I should have put in way more red pepper, but I used the last little bit that I had, so this curry ended up not very spicy. So I'm mixing that. Normally I would have used maybe at least twice as much of that. But the spice level of your curry, it's really subjective. So you're going to find that out on your own, how much you want. I'm using a soft spatula here. You're going to be stirring a lot, and if you're using a sharp, say fork or a sharp spoon, end of a spoon, you're going to be scraping the pot a lot, which I don't really want to do because that could damage a pot. So use something soft like a spatula. A rubberized kind of plastic spatula, you want to go with that for this, with so much stirring. Celery seed, one of my favorite seasonings ever. I put it in all my curries, but I'm sparing with it because I want it to last. But you guys can put whatever you want in this. I think as long as you have cumin and turmeric, that's a curry. Everything after this is what I do. Ground black pepper. These things, I often see them in curries, so I add them, right? But you decide. As long as you got cumin and turmeric, we're good. I like a lot of black pepper, so I'm putting a lot in. Allspice. This is something I started putting in recently. I noticed that some of the spices that occurred in allspice occurred in curries I was seeing on YouTube, like cinnamon. So I just decided I'll just start using allspice. I never used it before until the last few months of making curries, but I mean, it doesn't hurt, so I've been using it. Soy sauce. This is to give your curry that weird edge that people don't expect. It gives you a nice savoriness to it, and people will be like, "Wow, this curry is really different. What's in it?" And I'll say, "Oh, it's my little secret." Wink, wink. Say no more. Say no more. And normally, curry would have stewed tomatoes in it, but I don't have stewed tomatoes, so I'm gonna have to use tomato paste. Or a tomato. This is strained tomato, so it's kind of like liquid tomato. It's not really tomato sauce per se. It's just pure tomato, and you can tell just by looking at it. So you don't want this for your spaghetti, but you want it as a cooking ingredient. Okay. Normally you would put in stewed tomatoes or diced tomatoes, but I don't have that, so I'm doing this just to give the impression of tomatoes. This is an item that I'm using to give the idea of tomato. And milk. I'm using evaporated canned milk. This will give it a real creaminess, but it will also cut back on some of the spice. So you can adjust your spicy level by adding cream, or in this case, canned milk. But I'm doing it number 1 for creaminess, number 2 for presentation. I find it gives it a really cool look when you put in a milk product at this point. Look at the color of it. It's got this swirly pattern. It's got just the right texture, just the right look to it. It's beautiful. It's so aromatic. It's amazing. And right now, I'm plopping it out into a bowl for safekeeping for later. That is the gravy of the curry. Anything you add that to will convert that dish into a curry. And just for the sake of this video, I'm cleaning this pot so that you don't get confused about what's going on. So we're getting a clean pot back. Normally you wouldn't really have to clean this pot, you could just keep cooking in it, but I cleaned it for this video. So we're starting off with another cooking of meat. We're frying the meat in butter just like we did before. Curry often involves butter, I've noticed, as its main cooking medium, so I'm sticking with butter all the way through. So I'm cooking our meat in butter. This is beef. This is just random pieces of stewing beef. I can put them in the pot with the butter. They're going in. We're now at 20 minutes in. So this is how long it took me in real life to get to this point. And you can cook this meat to whatever doneness level you want. You can go rare, medium, well. You do you, buddy. It's all going to taste good in the end. At this point I decided it was getting a little dry, so I wanted a little bit more headroom for the cooking, so I put in some more butter. Here's how you check for doneness. There's well, there's medium well, there's medium, there's rare, and there's raw. Anyone can do it easy. You can do it on your hand right now. Just try it. Feel the muscle in there. Great little trick. How accurate is it? I don't know. But it's something I've been doing for a while, and I saw it somewhere on the internet. So, random guy on the internet can't be wrong, right? Our meat is coming along nicely. I'm trying to hit medium at this point because you'll see in a moment how the cooking continues inside the curry gravy. So you want to cook it like a level below what you'd want to normally eat it, because it will finish later. Because it's going to be retaining a lot of heat when it starts to boil away in the curry. So just let that be known. But again, the curry flavor envelops so much of it. It's really hard to ruin it. We just hit the 30 minutes mark. Look at that. Now we're putting in onions. This is just one whole white onion, rough cut. I keep seeing curries with super rough cut onions, so I just copy that. Right now this is starting to smell absolutely crazy. Alright, how done is this meat? Let's check it out. Let's open her up. Okay, I'm calling that like medium well. Alright, that's a little bit more done than I wanted, but we're going with it. Oh, look at this. We were saving that bad boy for now. Look at that. Oh. And we're keeping the heat on the whole time. So we're just going to boil this. Okay. So kind of like a stew. I'm putting in one whole potato, rough cut again, with the skin on. You don't have to have the skin on yours. I like the skin, and I like to have it in curry. So I'm leaving it on. And this is where I'd add like 2 chopped carrots, if I had carrots, but I don't. And I'm adding a little bit more water at this point too, just to aid in the boiling of it. Like, you really want the flavors to suck into the meat, the onions, and the potatoes. So it's helping if you have a little bit more water to do that. I'm also going to be putting this on pasta. You can put curry on rice or pasta or just a piece of bread. It doesn't matter. But right now I'm just going to take this pasta, as you see here, spirals, just submerge it in water, put it in the microwave for 10 minutes. That's a long time in the microwave. You might want to be boiling it in a separate pot, but I'm doing it that way because it's going to, again, finish in the curry with regards to the softness of the pasta. Look at that cauldron, my witch's brew. It needs Eye of Newt and Deadly Nightshade. 40 minutes. Right now I'm checking the doneness of the potatoes. I'm finding a potato and I'm trying to cut through it with the knife. The knife should just glide right through it. There should be some dimension left to the potato. You don't want the potato breaking up, so you want to be careful with it. So if you boil it too long, you're flying kind of close to the sun. So you want to have a potato with a little bit of a bite to it. So don't go crazy with it. The knife should go in easy, but the potato should also still have shape to it. And at this point, I found another bag of chili. We already put some red pepper in, but I'm going to put in chili flakes just because I was thinking, you know what, this isn't going to be hot enough. So at this point, I'm putting in chili flakes. You can put that in right in the beginning where I was making the gravy itself. But you can this is a dish that you can very much adjust on the fly, right? I decided on more black pepper, and I decided on a little bit of salt. And here's our pasta, complete in the microwave. And I also drained it a bit. Draining it is not super important for curry because it's a watery meal anyway. But you leave that up to yourself, how you want this to be. Do you want it thick? Do you want it thin? At this point, I'm saying, you know what, this is a little bit watery, so I'm going to cheat and I'm just going to put in some more flour just to bulk it up a bit. There we go. Flour, of course, has the effect that it immediately thickens a liquid that it touches, in case you don't know. And this pot here has enough curry gravy, curry stew, if you will, for about 2 people. Alright, here comes the piece de resistance. Ta-da! And I'm putting about half in the bowl. And purely for visuals, we're putting in one more spiral of canned milk. Purely for look. That's just for looks. 48 minutes. There's how I do it.